Oops, I switched to the wrong stream and also my camera isn't on. Or switched to the wrong scene. Wow, alright, well hopefully that's not an omen for how the stream is gonna go. Anyway, so welcome to this Saturday afternoon stream. I think it's time to get started working on the third level. So we've got the dungeon and we've got the graveyard. I think that the enemy variety that I want to have there is already done for those levels. So I think what we're going to do now is introduce a brand new enemy, the first enemy that's going to be present in the third level, which I have named Void, but it has shifted to be more of a cave. So here's the cave, and that's actually too bright. So if I go to the Void level here, or the cave, so it's basically a cave. I got some more art to do. I'm not finished with some of these things, but it's finished enough to the point where I want to start implementing enemies and just see how the theme is working out. So as the title suggests, we're going to be working on a stalagmite crab or something. Is that what I called it? Stalagmite crab. Yeah. So the idea being that it's going to be like a crab with a shell that is a stalagmite. And this is an idea that was borrowed loosely from Path of Exile 2. There's an enemy type called a boulder ant, and it's an ant with a boulder for like a shell. So loosely based on that, but I think what's going to be interesting about this enemy type is that it's going to have phases of invulnerability where it hides in its shell, and then bullets will treat the shell as if it's terrain, meaning that when the crab has its shell up, bullets will either, just get stopped by the shell, or if you've got ricochet for terrain elements and whatnot, then the bullets will ricochet off the shell. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So that was a little bit of a long-winded update, but anyway. So before we get into it, before I interact with the chat here, I see we got a couple messages already. I want to remind everyone that I've got all the ways that you can support me linked in the description below. I've got a couple of Udemy courses available for sale. It would make a great Christmas present for any nieces or nephews or sons or daughters that are interested in Godot development, by the way. So I've got a couple of those courses available for sale, linked in the description below. And then also I've got the Steam page for Gunforged linked down there where you can wishlist and play the demo. All right, with all that out of the way, let's get right into it. Hello, Xenoblide. Welcome, or Xenoblide, however you pronounce it. Sorry in advance if I, or I guess not in advance, but sorry if I mispronounced it. Hello, Super Rad Maker. What's up? Good to see you both. Welcome to the stream. So there's one thing that I want to show everyone first before I get too far into it is I've got this, I'm actually going to just do a quick playthrough here before we get started on this enemy. And I finished this passive that I was making where you use your stamina as health. And I think it turned out really good. So I'm going to go into the dungeon. I'm just going to play a couple of waves just to see how that feels, because I haven't actually play tested it. But if I add this passive stamina as health, so this, I called it Gym Rat, set health to 0, stamina is used as health instead and regenerates 50% slower. Getting hit when at 0 stamina will kill you. So you can see that all of my health has been set to 0 at the top, and I still have debug mode on. And when I dash, I take damage because my stamina is now being used as health. But then when I regenerate stamina, I get a little healing effect. So that's really cool, but I want to properly test this. So let's go to the dungeon arena here. Get rid of that. All right, let's try this for real this time. Let's try it for real this time. Okay. There we go. All right. So I'm kind of cheating. I mean, you're not going to be able to get that passive that early. Oof. Oh, wait. I just dashed. That's why I took damage. Takes a little bit of getting used to. I want to keep those effects in place though, because I think it really emphasizes the fact that your stamina is what's being used as health. And so now the name of the game becomes maxing out stamina a little bit, which I do not have. I should test if this works. I don't even know. Let's see. Is this going to... It should work. It should work. But let me spawn a rat and see if that's going to intercept. Oh, I dodged it on accident. Oh, I'm invulnerable anyway, so maybe if I do this. Oh yeah, it does work. Okay, cool. Yeah, so because I'm using stamina as health, I have to make sure that all the health related things are still working fine. Oof, this is really hard to do. This is a passive that's designed to be used with more than one stamina, so... But the nice thing is I can take damage, and then it regenerates, because your stamina naturally regenerates. So if you want to do like a regenerating health build, you can stack stamina instead. And the other thing is that your health is set to 0, but you can still increment your max health, and that's useful for things like if you've got the Berserk passive, which increases your damage based on your missing health. Oh, here we go. Every 50th bleeding enemy killed will drop a health globe. Health globes will also restore stamina, so I'm going to take that just to make sure that that also works. Got the cow receiver there. Fire rate. There we go. Nice. Hello, Damien. You helped me yesterday pointing me to an add-on Social Ninja. I want to say thank you. After a little while, I got it working for me. Excellent. I'm happy to help. Glad to hear that you got it working. Yeah, those, like I said, it's hard to figure out how to get the streams set up in a sort of like very, not professional, but like a very sophisticated manner, I guess I would say. Like, there's not a whole lot of good resource. It took me forever to find like how people were displaying the chat on their streams so easily, and also with a lot of variation in the style. Hope everything is going well today. It's cold over here in England. Yeah, it's cold here too. What's the temperature? I mean, you'll have to translate this. I'm sorry, I use American units, but it is 26 degrees Fahrenheit here, so that's less than 0 What is that, like -2, -3 Celsius, something like that? I don't know. Never thought about dual streaming YouTube and Twitch. I wanted to, but the problem is that Twitch doesn't let you show the chat from other platforms on the stream. So I'd have to get rid of the chat box if I wanted to do that. And I don't think I'd be able to feature comments either like this. So I'm just sticking with YouTube for now. If Twitch ever changes that aspect of their terms, then maybe I'll try it again, but... Thunderstorm, Zap. Let's do Zap. Oh, thank you, Snup Bill, for the IDR 10,000. Very much appreciate it. I'm waiting for the Yummers message to come in. There it is. There it is. Thank you, Snup Bill. Very much appreciate it. Very generous. Thank you. All right, let's see. Put this there. I'm just kind of like goofing around. I'm not really trying to win. I want some more stamina options. Like if I got Glass Cannon, that would be perfect for this build. Glass Cannon with Gym Rat, which is the name of this passive, is going to be perfect. Yeah, that temperature that translates to painful. Yeah. Surgeon, heal 1 health after each wave. This becomes rather useless because I have regenerating health, so I'm not going to take that. Increase movement speed, let's do that. Popcorn receiver, let's go. Okay, so we got the popcorn receiver, which gives me the popcorn affix. I haven't gotten any affixes. Ooh, what's this? Critical strike? Oh, I don't want to keep the poison though, probably. But I could put it over there. Yeah, there we go. All right. I'm not so sure about that rule not showing Twitch chat. At the moment, my YouTube dashboard, I have S-Fan streaming and his Twitch chat is going by. No, you're allowed to show the Twitch chat. You're not allowed to show YouTube chat. You're not allowed to show the chat from other platforms on the Twitch stream. So if I was multi-streaming, I would combine the chats together so that I could feature them all on the stream, but you're not allowed to do that. At least according to Twitch. I am allowed to do that if I don't use Twitch. Oh, there we go. Glass Cannon. Set max health to 1, increase stamina by 3, and deal 50% additional bullet damage. There we go. So now I've reduced my max health to 1, but that doesn't matter because I've got a bunch of regenerating health now. So I'm basically unstoppable. Yeah, I'm going to be invincible. This might be a very strong passive, so I may end up... maybe find a way to make it a little bit less. I could increase the recharge time as well on it, on the dashes. As it stands right now, I can just take damage and then I just regenerate. So I might have to tweak this a little bit, but it's I like how it changes the game quite substantially. I might just double the cooldown time. Or the recharge time, rather. There we go, I got another stamina. Yeah, I would say this only really becomes useful if you've got multiple stamina. So I think what I'll do is I'll make it really rare, and then I'll also increase the cooldown time, or the recharge time even more. So let's see. Let's just go ahead and change that right now. Stamina as health. Oops. Stamina as health passive. So instead of adding a dash cooldown modifier of 50%, I'll add 1%. Or 100%, I mean. And then stamina as health. 100% slower. Save. Stamina is used as health instead and regenerates 100% slower. Let's see how that works. I see what you mean. On the other hand, sometimes I watch the Prime agent on Twitch, and he displays YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter live chat. But I obviously can't confirm if you're allowed. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those deals where it's like, it's technically not allowed in the terms of service, but I think a lot of people tend to get away with it, so. Seems super strong if you keep getting away with increasing stamina, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, this is already pretty rare, but I might make it even rarer. So I'm going to turn this down to 5, actually. So I made it rare. I mean, again, I didn't even encounter this naturally. I just gave it to myself, so that's a consideration. But if I do this, now my stamina should be regenerating real slow. The other thing that I could do is I could make it so that when you get hit, it will reset the cooldown of whatever the timer that's currently going. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not opposed to very strong passives. Again, it depends on how much stamina you have. If you end up taking that early and then you get no additional stamina, it's going to be like a little bit difficult. I think I'm fine with that. I'm not going to play test it again because we have other things to do on the stream, but that I think is going to be just fine. So slightly nerf stamina as health. Too OP? Yeah, it might be, but we'll see. Thank you, Quang Tran. Hope I said that correctly. You draw it by yourself or buy it somewhere? Yeah, I didn't buy. I drew everything myself. Yeah, we're actually about to. Well, we'll see if we get into the asset making today. I've got previous streams where I draw some enemies and stuff. But yeah, all the art is done by me. I mean, later on you could have enemies, bosses that suck stamina or deal with the player's stamina in some way. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay. Let's get right into it. So I'm going to start by doing the game programming for the game, like the scripting for the entity. So let's go ahead and create a new scene. So again, we're going to create a stalagmite crab. And that stalagmite crab is going to... Stalagmite crab is going to have a phase where it becomes invulnerable and its shell becomes like terrain that bullets can bounce off of, which I think is going to be really cool. Scenes, game object, entity, stalagmite crab. Okay. So let's do this. I need hit flash group component, I need velocity component, I need path find component, I need... What else? What is the other components I need? I forgot. Health component, status receiver component, and default hit audio component. That's death audio component. Hit audio component. And then I also need the default death audio component under that. Okay, let's start with this. let's just make sure I'm not missing anything. Well, we'll need a facing component as well. And then what else? Knockback, aim, status receiver, health, pathfind, shadow component. Okay. And hurt box. Yeah. Okay. So shadow and hurt box. Shadow component. And then hurt box component. Cool. All right. So we got our components laid out. It's a little bit of boilerplate setup here, but I think this is going to be good. Okay, so let's add a sprite for the shell. And then we'll do another sprite for the body. And I don't know how big I want this to be. We're just going to use placeholder textures for now. So let's do a placeholder texture 2D. Let's make the size something like 32 and then maybe like 24. No, that's too big. 18. Nope, still too big. That looks more like it. You can kind of imagine a stalagmite in there. All right, so let's set this up. And how I'm going to start it off is I want to start it slightly rotated, which I need to probably do that and then up the... Well, let's just do this for now. Body sprite, we're going to do a new placeholder texture 2D. Is 32 too big? Yeah, probably 24. So we'll do 16 and then we'll just do a 16 by 16 square for the body. We'll see how that goes. Again, I'm just basically, I guess you could say I'm white boxing it, even though it's more like pink boxing at the moment, but I'm just white boxing it out so that I can get a good idea of what everything looks like proportionally in game. And I actually think I already don't like this. I want this to be shorter. So you can imagine the little crab body here. And then the shell will be like that. And then I'll rotate it. So rotate the shell, move it down a little bit. Okay, this is just kind of how it's going to look. Again, it doesn't need to be something super nice yet. Just want to get those visuals in place. Let's get the health component assigned here. So, let's see, status receiver. Let's just move this up a little bit. Health component, move that up a little bit. Shadow component. Okay, hurt box component. Cool. All right. Max health, let's just do 40. Health component. Status receiver. Velocity. Just hooking everything up now. Health component. Okay, I think we're good. So the hurt box component needs to have a collision shape associated with it. So let's do that. I'm just going to do a circle. We'll shrink it down just a little bit, maybe 9. Yeah, that'll work. So there's our collision shape for the hurt box component. And then we also need a collision shape for the character body 2D. This one can be smaller. So let's do circle shape 4. Move this up so that the bottom of the circle is just barely touching the origin there. And then this needs to be floating mode, collision. Get rid of the layer. It's got to do masks 1 and 5. Okay. I think that's basically it. So now I can write the script to get this all hooked up. But let's see. Thank you, Quang Tran. Speaking of scripting, does the way you set up your VS Code give you autocomplete for stuff like input action names? No, it does not. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that the Godot or the GDScript extension for VS Code will do that for you the same way that the Godot editor will, because I think all that stuff is provided by the language server, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't think that it works for C#, if that's what you mean. This is where the enemy template script you talked about would come in handy. Yeah. Hi, Dione. Welcome back to the stream. Good to see you again. Before you make a game, did you make any plan, like draw a game design system and then just followed it? No, I don't really. I've never found that like planning out a game ahead of time works that well. It's too hard to know how the game is going to shape up in advance, in my opinion. I have a general idea of like the mechanics that I want to be in place, but anything that goes more specific beyond like a general idea, like, okay, here's exactly how it's going to work, that tends not to work out well, because then you'll find that when it gets implemented, it's like, oh, that doesn't really play the way I was hoping it would, and you have to make tweaks. So I don't do any sort of like game design documents or anything. I just start with a general idea, I try it out, I see how it works. If it works, then I keep building on top of that, and if it doesn't work, I try something different. That's just kind of like jives with me more. It's kind of like a find the fun strategy, where you just start going in a direction and you just kind of go wherever the fun leads you, and you turn around if you're not finding the fun. About your C# course, and while I was studying, I was thinking about something that has been on my mind for some time. Whenever I go to create codes, I forget the way I saw people doing it and end up doing it my own way. But several times I find errors and architecture problems in the future. How do you improve this? Do you record the codes and architecture, or do you create your own? And yes, how do you think in a way that I can certainly see? How do you think in a way that I certainly can't see that far ahead? Yeah, so the unfortunate answer to this, or the fortunate answer depending on your frame of reference, or your frame of mind, is that that stuff just comes with experience. Is that there's no way to teach you ahead of time like what approach is going to be fruitful in the future, or what approach is going to sort of paint you into a corner, so to speak. You know, like I can't, that's not something that can necessarily be taught. I think you have to learn that through experience. Like obviously you can know like algorithms and general patterns and stuff like that, but knowing when and how and where to apply those patterns and in which situations you're going to be limiting yourself in the future, it's just, yeah, that's just a matter of experience. So I would say that I think you're on track. I think the fact that you are noticing that you are implementing stuff your own way, and that way ends up becoming problematic later down the road, I think that that's very useful, and that you shouldn't be discouraged by that, but you should be encouraged by that, because what you're doing is you're learning all the ways in which, all the ways in which setting up code can lead to failures or architectural problems in the future. And that's a very critical part of learning how to get to the point, let's say, where I'm at, where I have a generally good idea of how to architect things ahead of time so that I can avoid all those pitfalls. So I think that you're on track. I wouldn't be discouraged. I would say that you are doing exactly what you should be doing, and that you just need to keep doing what you're doing, learn from your mistakes, and try a different way. And it's good, like primarily it's good that you're trying things your own way and not just doing what the tutorials are telling you, because that's how you're going to learn the most and the fastest, I think. Hello, Felipe. I think that there are some patterns to follow in order to narrow that failure, as for example, make components the generic way so you can share that later, for example. Yeah, exactly, yeah. There are some things that you should do that are just good practice that can be taught, but when you're talking like, how is this decision going to ripple out into the future in terms of my project? That's not something like, I mean, if I looked at your code, I could probably tell you that's what's going to happen. But at the same time, it's like, that's something that you have to learn yourself too. So late stream, did not expect it. Yeah, I don't usually, I mean, I don't have like a stream schedule for the weekends. So if I feel like it, I'll hop on a stream on the weekend. Otherwise I won't. But welcome, NetK. I'm glad to have you here. Hello, Felipe. I got 2 Felipes in the chat. Well, welcome, welcome. Good to see you again. Okay, isn't this beautiful? Isn't this beautiful art right here? Just a big old pink geometric shape. Anyway, so one thing that's interesting about the stalagmite crab is that he's going to go into a state where he's got his shell on, and that's going to require the usage of a, I don't know if I'm supposed to use, do I want to use a static body 2D for this? I think I do, right? So if I use a static body 2D, and I add a collision shape, and I make this a rectangle shape. I don't want this to be collidable. Like, this shouldn't interrupt the movement of enemies, but it should intercept bullets. That's what it should do. And I think I can set that up. But I don't know exactly which layer would be appropriate there. Let me think. Do I have a layer that can intercept bullets but not entities? I have a layer that can intercept entities but not bullets. This might actually be trickier than I thought, because I don't think I have any built-in layer handling for this. I don't want to make this too tall. I guess there's one way to test this, which is to go into the game and spawn this thing. I might need to do some work with my collision layers and masks. Basically, I need a collision layer that entities will not collide with, but bullets will, which is simple enough to do, but I just need to, I think there's going to be several places in the code that I need to update to make sure that works properly. But anyway, spawn Stalagmite crab. Okay, yeah, so I'm running into this, but bullets are also doing that, which is good. So that's good. I don't think secondary terrain is what I want either. No planning is bold. I like to have some sort of boundary plan or otherwise to prevent scope creep. Scope tends to run more than creep unless it's weighed down sufficiently. Yeah, I mean, I do some degree of planning. Like, I have my little like Kanban board that's designed to keep things focused, but I think we're talking like general, like when you're building the game from the start, like how planned out is it? That was more what I was referring to. But yeah, once you have a clear idea of what's going on in your game, I do think it's important to manage scope creep, and that does involve some degree of planning. But I just don't think that you can plan, I don't think it's easy to plan like every step, right? Or every mechanic and how exactly it's going to work. That was mostly my point. Magenta sprite prototype is the best. Do you use a sprite for making your assets? I do, yes. Yeah. Hello, Vishal. Welcome back. Yes, we are making content today. Yes, indeed. We're making a stalagmite crab. What do you think about using free or paid assets for the design part of the game when designing your dream commercial game, since I'm not very good at art? I think it's, I mean, I don't have direct experience with this, but I think the main thing is like using assets is fine, but you need to make them thematically coherent. There's been a lot of very successful indie games that have used asset store items for like 3D games, but then what these devs do is they go in and they modify the assets in some way. So they either retexture it so that the textures match the rest of the style of the textures of the game, or they take a high poly model and convert it to low poly if they're doing a low poly game. There's some element of transformation that happens when people use assets. And I think mostly just because if you pull a bunch of assets from a bunch of different places, like, you're gonna tend to end up with a incoherent mess in terms of the style. Unless you're dealing with like photorealistic assets, then I think you can get away with it easier. So, and with pixel art is especially very difficult because pixel art is like highly stylized. So you may find a pack for pixel art that contains a bunch of monsters and stuff that you want, but not enough variety. And so then you go try to find other monsters, and there's just no other pixel art pack like it, right? And so it's just not going to match. But I don't think there's anything wrong in principle with buying assets. You just have to make sure that they work and that your game stands out when you use them. That's the general consensus, at least, that I've read online. Again, I don't have any direct experience with using assets, like commercial assets, beyond like sound effects and stuff. And yeah, pixel art is frustrating for sure. But it just takes practice. I mean, I went through exactly what you did when I was learning how to do pixel art, just the frustration of not being able to get something to look the way that you want it to look. But that's just something that you have to you just have to work through that. Unfortunately, a lot of my advice just comes through, you have to kind of just be in it for the long haul and just keep getting through the things that you need to get through. And, even the littlest failures that you have, you set out to draw something and it doesn't turn out good, like, you should know that you're learning something in that process. You're at least learning how not to draw the thing, and that's useful. Okay, so I definitely do need a different collision layer. Now that's gonna throw a wrench in basically everything. Let me find a physics layer that I'm not using here. Bullet terrain, okay. And that's what, bit 7. So I have this raycast terrain that I'm using in several places. So that needs to account for the fact that this is going to be, well, maybe not. Let me see. I think I mostly just need to make sure that the bullets shapecast 2D collision result, yeah. I think I just need to make sure that the bullets are all checking that layer, but I don't think I need to make anything else check that layer. So so there's a couple of things first. So I actually don't want to use that layer there. And then while I'm thinking of it, this zombie tycoon, I shouldn't be querying the space state directly. What I need to do is I need to do var raycast result, or let's do result equals this dot raycast terrain from the origin global position to the target. What does this return? Raycast. Was I using a... Wait, what was I doing before? Physics... Oh, point. Oh, I was doing a point query there. Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay. I don't know what I'm talking about. Ignore me. I'm not going to change that. We're reverting that. It's a point collision. Okay, anyway, let's not dwell on that. So I basically just need to change the bullet component shapecast. So if I go to my bullet component here, this shapecast 2D also needs to look for, so it's looking for terrain and enemy, and it also needs to look for bullet terrain. Hello, cat. I'm streaming. I'm streaming. Okay, so I've got the Shapecast 2D here. Bullet terrain. Now the problem is that I need this to check for if result.collider is tilemap layer or results.collider is static body 2D. I think that will work, and I think that will update all bullets as well. Now the problem is that enemy bullets are going to be blocked as well. Is that going to be a problem? Man, there's a lot of issues with this that I was not anticipating. Okay, well, let's see how it works now. So if I change this static body 2D to have a bullet terrain layer, what should happen is that bullets should be intercepted now by this static body. So the bullet should collide and basically stop on the static body. But also, I should be able to pass through it. So I can pass through it, but the bullets get intercepted. So you see how the bullets are stopping on it. So that's exactly what I wanted. Now, with respect to enemies, I think enemy bullets will be stopped as well. Oh, enemy bullets are not stopped. Why is that? Oh, interesting. Well, I don't know why that's happening. So I need to figure out... Oh, because this has a collision mask set. Well, I mean, that's basically... I mean, I guess that's fine. I don't think I want enemy bullets to collide with that. Let me just check all these. The enemy cannon bullet is only looking for player. Why is that? That should be 1. Oh, the enemy flying orb bullet. Yeah, this one doesn't check for terrain. Right. Oh goodness, my bullets are all over the place here. Okay, anyway. I think we're all good here. So this should work. So the way I have it here should work. Okay. What is the idea of the new enemy? So the new enemy is a stalagmite crab. You know, a stalagmite, it's like a kind of conal rock formation that grows out of the ground in caves. I don't know if that's technically accurate. I think what happens is it grows from the drips that come from the ceiling. But anyway, so it's not literally growing out of the ground. It's being built up on top of the ground. Anyway, so the idea is that there will be this little crab enemy who's like walking around and doing stuff, and then it will intermittently like put its shell on, and the shell is the stalagmite, and then it's going to become invulnerable and it's going to block player bullets. It's going to be treated as terrain. So if you have the bullet ricochet, you could potentially ricochet bullets off of the crab while it's invulnerable, but then it will pop up after a time and become vulnerable again. And so it's just like a little bit of a... I'm trying to make all my enemies have some kind of unique identity, even if it's just like a really simple differentiation, and I think that's going to be fun. So I'm a software engineer, architect, don't ask why, and I find it easier to do low poly 3D, but it's hard still. I'm trying to learn vector art now, but it looks too boring, I think. Yeah, what's interesting is in college I did a 3D modeling class, and I found the 3D modeling to be it was a lot easier for me to get something looking good in a 3D or looking decent, I should say, in 3D model than if I were to draw something like 2D. I don't know what it is, but it just seemed more natural, easier to do. Can you give me any tips for a VFX by using Aseprite? I just used Aseprite recently to make my own game, so it's clearly hard for a newbie. Yeah, so I think a lot of people have heard this from me before, but I don't do the very difficult things in Aseprite. Like, I don't do frame-by-frame animations, at least not yet, because frame-by-frame animations are very hard to do in my experience. Like the hand-drawn, you have like 10 frames in a player animation. I don't do that. What I do is I draw the static sprite and then I cut it up and I animate it in Engine, because it's like that 3D point that I was just mentioning is like, it's a lot easier to get, for me, to get something looking good and animated in Engine using keyframes than it is for me to draw them hand-drawn. Hand-drawing the frames also takes forever. And then for any visual effects like explosions and whatnot, what I do is I just use particle systems, because again, for me, it's a lot easier to get nice looking visual effects with particle systems than it is with like a hand-drawn explosion, for instance. So maybe try that. If you're having trouble with it, try just getting a static sprite drawn and then try animating that sprite. Like cut up the sprite into a bunch of parts, like take the head as a separate part, take the body as a separate part, and then animate those together as one unit in Engine, and just like get it bouncing around, get it, moving a little bit, give some life to it. And I think you'll find that that produces an actual really good result with little effort. So I am not yet at the point where I can do frame by frame animations, but maybe someday. Hello, Pocket Pixie. Welcome back to the stream. Good to see you again. Great to have you here. It's so boring that I'm considering doing a text-based game for real. Yeah, art can be very tedious. I mean, I was working on the tile set here. And this is not very impressive, but so this is the tile set that I was working on for the cave, and I've got all these parts everywhere because I'm like trying to get all the connections working right, and it's just super tedious. And and what I've got out of that is basically this, which is looking decent. I still need more variety in the thing, but I mean, it took me hours and hours and hours to just like get this far with it, and I'm still not done. So I definitely feel you. It's a little bit tedious. If an enemy bullet collides with another enemy, it should mean that the enemy will be hurt, right? I'm a little bit lost. No, enemy bullets don't collide with anything but the player and terrain. Oh, what happened to the... Did you delete your comment, Felipe? Well, it's on the screen, so it's not deleted. It's now forever in the archives. Anyway. Netk, I'm using the static body so that I have something to intercept the enemy bullets. But yeah, that's the purpose for the static body. I got the Godot C# course. Excellent. Thank you, Pocket Pixie. I need to learn how to do animations, 3D modeling, and illustration pixel drawing. Yeah. I wish I could teach that effectively. I do have a pixel art tips video, and that's coming at it not from the perspective of somebody who's like really good at pixel art, but somebody who's gotten good enough at pixel art to produce art for his game. And so that pixel art tips video that I made basically just has like the most impactful tips that personally helped me out a lot, and that like those things should more or less instantly make your pixel art look better. But there are definitely other people on YouTube who are great pixel art instructors. Adam C. Eunice is one. There's a guy I watched quite a lot, Pixel Pete. He did a lot of, or he still does, pixel art critique videos where he takes someone's pixel art and he goes into it and he says, well, this looks good, but this needs to change, whatever. And I found it really useful to look at somebody else's art and I go, oh, that looks really good. And then he like tears it apart and says, no, here's all the ways it can be made better. It's like, it's so eye-opening, even if it's not your art. So yeah, definitely seek out the other pixel artists on YouTube. There's a lot of great resources. No problem. It's funny. Hello, Rin. Welcome back to the stream. Great to see you again. I am doing well. How are you doing? All right. So I think this was going to work. So now let's get everything working. Not too bad. That's good. All right. So we're going to start this off as disabled. Rename this, make it a unique name. Hurt box component. Yeah, this needs to be... This will need to be disabled as well. Okay. During certain phases anyway. Okay. Well, let's start by private delegate state machine equals new. We're going to need a couple of states here. Private void state normal. We'll see if we can get this enemy done today. We'll see. Private void state. What is the word for when a crab is like hunkered down in its shell? State. I mean, maybe I'll just call it invulnerable. There's no need to be fancy. I thought there was like a specific word for like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. State invulnerable. So we're going to definitely want an enter state invulnerable. Oh, I guess today is going to be one of those days where I'm just not allowed to type correctly. Invulnerable. There we go. Private void leave state invulnerable. Okay. This is also quite a bit of boilerplate, so just doing the things that I've done a million times by now. So we're going to set the initial state to state normal. Okay. State normal. Pathfind component. I need a reference to that pathfind component now. Node. Oh, private pathfind component. Pathfind component. Private velocity component. Velocity component. Pathfind component. Set target position. Player dot global position. Global position. Okay. And then I need a process method, public override void process, velocity component dot move this, and then we also need to call state machine dot update. Okay, and then we'll do velocity component dot follow path, or pathfind component dot follow path. Yeah, we want to do that. Okay. So when we enter state invulnerable, we need a couple of things. Node private collision shape 2D. This is going to be our hurt box shape. Node private collision shape 2D. What do I call this? Static body shape. So when we enter the state invulnerable, we're going to say static body shape dot disabled. Or enabled. What is it called? Static body shape. Oh, did I do this wrong? Oh, collision shape 2D. I was very confused for a second. Disabled is equal to false. Hurtbox shape dot disabled is equal to true. And then we're going to want to reverse these when I leave that state. And then the state invulnerable, we're going to call velocity component dot decelerate. And then what we're going to do, we're going to have some animations that need to be played as well. But that should basically be correct. Obviously, we're going to want some more sophisticated behaviors here, but let's see what that looks like. So oh wait, no, I'm not ready yet. I don't have any way of transitioning into that state. So I need to add a random timer. We're also going to figure out how to make this thing attack. I think we'll figure it out. I got to think about that a little bit. Random timer. Let's call this invulnerability timer. That is a hard word to type. Invulnerability timer. Let's do a rather quick cycle here. 1.5 and 2. Let's do auto start, one shot. No, not one shot. Yes, one shot. Node private timer invulnerability timer. private static string name start random. That's what I need to call on that timer because it's a GDScript add-on, and this is the function name that I need to call. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say leave state invulnerable. I'm going to say invulnerability timer.call start random. Okay. All right. Okay. So then I need to check in here if invulnerability timer.is stopped. Then I need to do state machine.change state invulnerable. Now we should be good to go. Oh, this needs to be a read only. Okay, let's check it out. Have to go. Good luck with the enemy. Have a great weekend. Thanks, you too, Netk. Thanks for hopping in. Great to have you here. Sorry if you're already gone, but I don't read the chat as often as I should, maybe, but I also have to write code, so it's a difficult balance. Howdy, howdy. Hello, Brian. Welcome back. Good to see you here as always. Perfect timing. Get to see some of the state machine in progress. Oh, yeah, that's right. You were asking about it. Well, while I'm working on this, feel free to ask me any questions you might have about the state machine. Right. So that's working. I don't have any way of leaving that state now. So state invulnerable. I'm going to say we're not going to make this random. So timer, let's do 1.5 seconds, one shot. Let's do invulnerability duration timer. That's fine. That can stay there. Node private timer invulnerability duration timer. And then what we'll do when we enter that state invulnerable, let's do invulnerability duration timer.start. Then in the state invulnerable, if invulnerability duration timer.is stopped, state machine change state normal. Okay, that should have me oscillating between the states now. Do my best watching the kiddos while the wife is doing some stuff around the house. Yeah, it is that season, right? Prepping for any sort of Christmas parties or something. I know a lot of people are busy doing that today. Timers are obviously super handy in Godot, but in terms of performance, how do you think they compare to simply tracking time with Delta? Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if there's probably a slight performance degradation when you're using timers, simply because, you know, the timer, I don't think the timer by itself is really, because you have to think the timer by itself is running in the C layer of Godot, right? Just like all the other node functionality. So, but there is going to be some performance differentiation when you're like emitting the signal and handling that signal with a script and, you know, checking if the timer is stopped and everything. Like there has to be some interoperability between the scripting layer and the C++ layer, right? So I would say that probably the timer is as fast as it can reasonably be when it's running built in, but then maybe, you know, for very many invocations, you'll probably see a slowdown when you're talking about checking the state of the timer. All of that said, I don't think that it's worth worrying about. Maybe if you had like thousands of timers, you'd want to keep it like purely at the C# layer or your scripting layer and just like not interact with the Godot APIs at all. But it's such a lightweight thing that I don't think it's worth worrying about the performance impact. Getting ready to move 3 days after Christmas. Ooh, that's tough, but yeah, gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. First question is the delegate state machine just handling the switching of states and you just add the method's states for each enemy? Yes, yeah. So the delegate state machine, let's see. So the delegate state machine, it basically, I mean, under the hood, all it is it's just kind of like it's just a dictionary that has a state. Yeah. a state, which is a delegate. So a state is a function. It's a reference to a function. And then the state flows object here, it has support for normal, enter, and leave. And then whenever you say add states, it just basically creates a new state flows object and adds it to the state dictionary here. And then this class, this delegate state machine, it just handles changing the states for you. So it keeps track of what your current state is. So that way, when you call update, the update method every frame, or whenever you want, you don't have to call it every frame, it will invoke the function associated with that current state. And then when you're changing states, it knows to try to call the enter state, and it knows to try to call the leave state. So for instance, when you call set state here, what it will do is it will try to get, well, it will get the value of the current state. It will check if that has a leave state associated with it. It will invoke that immediately, and then it will change the state over to the new state that's coming in, and then call the enter state on that immediately. So that's basically how it works. And all of this is called in a deferred fashion. So if you call change state, that will actually be called after the current, or at the end of the current frame. And that's just to ensure that all the state logic finishes. Because what you don't want to do, at least in my experience with state machines, is you don't want to break out of the state that you're currently in midway through the state logic, because you can end up in all kinds of unmanageable bad states. So what you want to do is, if you want to change a state, you change it after all of the current state's logic has been finished and completed, and then you can safely transition over. So it creates a very nice, predictable state machine, basically. So that's how it all works. And then in practice, what that looks like when you're writing code is you just say add states, state normal, state invulnerable. I have enter and leave state for state invulnerable. And then since these are all delegates, they're references to functions, I just write the functions. And that becomes very easy to read, right? Because now you're not, everything's kind of abstracted away for you in the state machine object. And you can just call state machine.update in the process method. And then you just assume that every normal, or the, like the, not the enter or the leave state, but I guess the normal state is just being called every frame. So you should just treat it as if this code is happening in the process method, because it essentially is. So I don't know if that helps at all, but that's a basic overview of how it's working. All right, let's see. So he stops. Ooh, this guy's gonna be really cool. I gotta give him some like crab-like movement patterns too. I gotta make him move in very weird ways. But yeah, you can see that he stops. He starts intercepting bullets. He goes into that invulnerable state for a second. Cool. All right, so he needs some kind of attack as well. I think it would be interesting if maybe when he went into the invulnerable state, he shot out some bullets of some kind. I think that's a good size for it too. I didn't want the crab to be too big because I don't want to spend all my time drawing art, but also I think this is an appropriate size for the crab here. So let's see if I can get this. Maybe we'll draw it first and then I'll figure out what to do with the attack. So we'll go into drawing this creature in Sprite, and I can show anyone who's interested how I approach drawing things. Generally, the approach is very sloppy. I basically, for all those who have seen me draw art before, I basically just fumble my way through it until I happen upon something that looks good, but we'll see how it goes this time. I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but some days I have like really good art days where like it seems like everything I draw just turns out amazing. And then I have bad art days where it's like I just can't get it to look good no matter what. And it's like, I don't know what it is, but I definitely have those kind of days. So anyway, initial work on Stalagmite crab. Okay, so we got the initial work done. So let's go ahead and get into Sprite, and we'll go ahead. It would be nice that the crab shoots spikes out of his body when in vulnerability, as you said. Yeah. I have to be very careful about how I design enemies because I've mentioned this before, but I have a passive that clears bullets on dash, And the problem is that if I have too many enemies that aren't shooting bullets, then that becomes useless. So I have to make sure that I have a good amount of enemies that shoot bullets and a good amount of enemies that might shoot bullets and have other kinds of like non-deletable attacks. But so, I mean, I could make the bullets like spike shaped too. I can make the bullets different shapes, but I need to have enemies generating bullets with some regularity so that that passive and other passives don't feel useless when you get into the later portions of the game. That's it. That's the interesting thing I'm learning about the game design, is that a lot of the content development choices you make have to take into account all the design decisions that you've made up to this point. Like, you can't make something completely, I mean, this maybe seems obvious now, but now that I'm saying it, but you can't make decisions later in your development that are incongruous with the decisions you made earlier, because then you'll just end up like with something, like I said, incongruous. You'll just, like, the player will notice a difference, like, wait a minute, this is entirely different to what I was experiencing earlier in the game, and that may or may not be a good thing. So anyway, I guess I'm just rambling, it's fine. I really like that, and your functions within the enemy can just call the change state methods and everything. So clean. Definitely going to steal that and just go through it line by line. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's why it's open source. Feel free to steal it, improve it, do whatever you want with it. You could even beat me to the punch and make a YouTube video on how to use it. Okay, so before we get into drawing this stalagmite crab, I am going to go ahead and take a quick break, get a refill. See, my water is empty. So I'm gonna go get a refill on my water real quick. And then when I come back, we'll go ahead and draw this stalagmite crab. But in the meantime, please check out the description below. I've got all the links, all the ways you can support me linked down below. Got my Udemy courses available for sale. Would make a great Christmas present for any nieces or nephews that have expressed interest in Godot and game development. Maybe not. I mean, maybe I shouldn't advertise it like that, because you do need to have some programming experience. But anyway, check those out. I will be back in just a couple minutes, and we'll get started on the stalagmite crab art. Okay, I'm back. Definitely recommend the courses. Almost done with the tile map puzzle course. Thinking of going through the Vampire Survivors one, or Vampire Survivors like next, and trying my hand at implementing it all in C#. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that you're enjoying it, and thank you for purchasing the course. You should have no problems doing the Vampire Survivors course in C#. I definitely think that just in terms of the difficulty, I think the puzzle course is just much more difficult than the Vampire Survivors course. But the nice thing about the Vampire Survivors course is that I go much deeper and much more, well, I guess just much deeper into the composition based game design. There's a lot more components that we build and that we use in the Vampire Survivors course. So if that's interesting to you or anyone else, that's, I think, the main the main draw of that course. So this, what are these sprites? 16 by 32, 16 by 12. Let's do some quick math here. 12 plus 32 is 44. So 16 by 44 is kind of what I'm dealing with. Okay. New 16 44. And this is 16 by 12. So I'm just going to start by blocking out the rough shapes. Oh, look at that. Perfect 16 by 12. First try. And that means that this is the rest. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this saved. Assets. Entity. I'm kind of regretting calling this a stalagmite crab internally because that's a very long word. Okay, sprite canvas size. Let's do 32. Just gonna give myself some more space. Actually, let's do this. Where'd my layers go? There they are. I'm just going to call this reference, and I'll just lock that. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do is, let's start by drawing a stalagmite. Yeah, stalagmite. And I don't know exactly how this is going to go, but we'll see. So stalagmite kind of has like rings on it too, like it's a little bit ridged. So I don't know exactly how I'm gonna accomplish that. Maybe if I just do like bigger patches of bands like this. I don't know if this is gonna work. Should have drawn this as a different color. That looks fine actually. I think what I'd probably do is like add a little shadow under that. Yeah. Maybe make it bigger down here. That looks more like a... I think this probably, well, let's see. Oops. That's not terrible. I think what I'd do probably is make this just one big blob at the end. Yeah, something like that. I think it's too, what you call it? Brought in, or it's too narrow at this point here. So I wonder if I just make that a little bit thicker. Move this down a little bit. Yeah. I'm gonna have to figure out what exactly to do about the shading here, but I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on it. I think that looks fine. Honestly, I could probably just make that one unified part. And if I wanted to, I could do maybe something like this. Yeah, I'm not going to get too concerned about the exact shading here just yet. I'm just mostly trying to like block out what the sections of it are going to look like. I think maybe this... Did I already have it like this? No, but that looks a little bit better. I might even take this and just shift it down. Yes. Take this, shift that down as well. Yeah, they look more stacked on top of each other now. And then since I shrunk it a little bit, I'm just going to bring this out. This bottom piece out. I guess it doesn't look... Well, we'll make it look more like a stalagmite. We're getting there. The course is fantastic. When you went over tile maps and how terrain features work, I was in awe. Little things of information like that are so helpful to know. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Oh, here we go. We got some lore. Does this imply the crabs stay a long time in the same position? Some sort of hibernation that causes them to have all these stalagmites. Yeah, that sounds good to me. We'll go with that. There's the official lore explanation for the gun-forged stalagmite crabs. Thank you for joining, Felipe. Thanks for chatting, and hope to see you in the next one. Enjoy your weekend. Okay, I'm gonna say that that's fine for now. That's fine for now. Now we gotta figure out how to do like the actual crab part of it. So this ended up being just about a pixel short of what I wanted, but that's all right. That's all right. Okay, so now we do the crab. Crab. Okay, crab. So what I probably want for the crab is I probably want... Let me think about this. This should go up. I probably want eye stalks. Like so. I'm just gonna roughly block this out. This is not gonna be super detailed yet. What does a hermit crab look like? A hermit crab kind of, maybe this needs to be higher. Yeah, and then a hermit crab, let's see. Oh boy, here we go. Sorry, I have to look. Shell-less hermit crab. Is this gonna be really freaky? Okay. So definitely got the eye stalks. I need big claws. So let's maybe... Okay. And then I don't want it to go that far out of the shell because I also need to make it so that the crab kind of gets completely obscured. So it needs to like shrink into the shell, you know what I mean? But I think I can do something like this. Okay, well, that's kind of hard to see, but I think that's generally what I'm going to go for. So let me just start doing things. I'm just going to start doing things. Okay. We'll see how it goes. Looks like a snail from SpongeBob now. Okay. Let's get rid of the reference now. I think I've got a good idea of what I'm doing. I mean, the hermit crabs, they do have like those really big... Are those even claws? Oh, I guess they are. I guess they are. Wish I had a good view of one. These are weird creatures. Okay. Well, we'll just keep going with this. So I think in order for this to look good, I should probably just go without the shell here. And I think I'll just take this as a different color here as a differentiator. This is not going to be his color, his final color, but I'm just trying to create some differentiation in the shapes here. I could probably get away with doing a little bit more of a claw shape there, yeah. This probably needs to be thicker on that side. Yeah, that's looking all right. That's looking all right. I'm not opposed to that. I'm just gonna... I need to figure out... I don't know if I necessarily want to make him red. But I don't want to make him purple either. I'm going to experiment with the colors a little bit for sure. But there's the crab, there's the shell. The shell will ultimately go on top of the crab in some way. Well, I'm going to need to make the eyes different, but the shell is mostly like... So he's going to retreat into the shell like this. And then... Yeah. So I need to separate the body from the eyes, because the eyes need to be outside of the shell, but the body needs to be inside of it. So I should probably go ahead and just go ahead and do that right now. I can get a much better idea of what this is doing now, because I can put the shell on top of the body and the eyes are underneath. Now, obviously, I think the shell needs to probably be a little bit more rounded. Yeah, so I'll add that little bit there. Move the shell up slightly. Let's see. There we go. And again, when he's walking around, this shell is actually going to be rotated like this. So it's actually going to sit more like that when he's walking. It's going to be vertical though when he retreats under it and it slams down. So I don't want to rotate it right now, obviously, because that's going to screw up all my pixels, but that's... If it looks weird when he's like in this pose, that's because it is weird. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to, of course, add an outline. I think outlines make a huge difference early on in the pixel art. At least for me, it's much easier to see how the colors end up working together when I've got a clear, very contrasting outline. It just makes the art so much more bold immediately. And I really like that. Okay, for the eyes, I think I'll outline the eyes as well, just to get a good idea of how this is ultimately going to look. Okay, see, it looks so much better. Even with these not final colors now, it still looks pretty good. Now what I might do is I might make these less round. If I flatten those a little bit, is that going to look better? Probably, right? Flatten that. Maybe not. I'll just leave it the way it was for now. Okay, so yeah, the purple again is not final. Okay, we'll lock the eyes for now. Now we need to get the claws. Actually, do we need to do that? Or can they stay as part of the body? I think they can stay as part of the body. I just needed the eyes to be separate so that the eyes can render in front of the shell here. I had no idea a hook-like body. Oh, they had a hook-like body, but I guess it makes sense. Yeah. An acid-like effect on weapons could quickly take care of its shell. Are they only going to take damage when not hiding? Yeah, they are only going to take damage when they're not hiding, yep. The interesting thing is that they're going to become like quasi-terrain when they're hiding, which means that if you've got ricochet on your bullets, the bullets will actually bounce off of the shell. So it will be, the shell will be treated as terrain for the purposes of the bullets. So any bullet interactions that you have that respond to terrain are going to be treated as such, or the shell is going to be treated as such. So I think that's interesting. It helps so much to see you drawing. I'm taking notes of making the reference in the initial long lines. Okay, yeah, I'm glad to help, yeah. The eyes can move also. Yeah, I mean, I got I developed my pixel art skills by watching other people draw as well, so it's definitely very helpful. I think, yeah, the big thing for me is that I can't really get the thing to look the way I want immediately, so what I do is I take a very iterative approach, like, okay, get the size down first, right? That's why I did these purple squares. I just wanted to see, does this proportion look good? Okay, when the proportion looks good, then like draw the general stalagmite shape, and then add a little bit of detail to it, give it some ridges, some curves, make it not a uniform cone structure, right? And then for the body, it's like the problem with like doing organic things is it's very hard because they have these very free-flowing lines and whatnot. But again, you could just take an iterative approach, just add one thing at a time, tweak things as necessary, and get the colors blocked out. And then once you're satisfied with the shape and how everything's oriented, then you can go in and start adding the final colors and the shading and whatnot. Instead of trying to do that all from the start. There are some artists that can just immediately just do everything, and I can't do that. I have to go very step by step. So yeah, that's the approach that I take. I don't think the purple is that bad. If you Google Tamatoa Moana, you'll see a giant purple crab. I have enemies that are purple. The problem is that the void arena, or this cave arena, has a lot of purple in it. So I think I would probably rather do something like orange or red to contrast with the purple of the arena. That's kind of why I don't want to use purple. I think purple would look really good in a different context, but I don't think I'm going to use it here. Can we play your game now, like a demo? I went on X, couldn't find out how. Well, dang it, do I not have that pinned on X? Well, I don't have to look at it now, but yeah, the link to the Gunforge Steam page is in the description below, and you can download the demo from the Steam page. Be aware that the demo is slightly out of date, but it should be fairly representative of how the final game is going to play. But I have made some pretty significant design changes to the gun parts specifically since then. So yeah, thank you for asking though, I appreciate that. Okay. Now comes the part of, well, yeah, I mean, I can basically just choose what colors I want to use now. So let's see, is orange going to be looking good? Orange and a lighter orange here. And then like a darker, maybe not like a red, but like a magenta here. No, that's too much. It's like a brown over there. I think those are probably too light. Yeah, that's too light. Let's see how this color goes. I'm not entirely sure that this is going to work, but I don't like this color combination. I'm going to try to do something a little bit more interesting with the colors here. Instead of just using the same shade of the same color, or a different shade of the same color, I want to try using that's not enough contrast there. Yeah, I think this is too uniform. The problem too is that, hold on, let me undo all this. I don't like that. The problem too is that, like I said, this shell is going to be rotated. Like so. So maybe what I should do is actually like shadow a huge chunk of this side of the body. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how this looks in game. I'm not convinced that this is going to look great, but we'll see. What did I just do? Sometimes I lose track of my undo redo history and I just kind of break stuff. Trying to add little imperfections here, make it look like the claw is rougher than it is. I don't think that's working at all though. Maybe if I use a darker color for it instead. Yeah, I'm not liking these colors, but let's get the shading done first and then I will reevaluate. It doesn't look terrible. I just think brown is just such an ugly color, like always, in my opinion. I don't think I've ever seen anything brown and been like, ooh, that looks good. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm on the shell layer. No. Dang it. Wow, I kind of messed it up all over the place. Okay. All right, we've recovered. Now the crab feet, that is going to be an interesting thing. What does the crab feet look like? Oh my goodness. Okay, they're basically just like long pegs, which is what I thought they were. So maybe I'll just emphasize the peg-likeness of them. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, that'll work. And then maybe... Yeah, I'm just not liking it. These colors are just not good. These colors are just not good. Here's what I can do though. Oh, you know what I haven't done either? I should add an outline to this body here. Let's do that. There we go. Make that pointy. That's fine. I wonder if I should do this. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Make that pointy, make that... Oh, wait, no. The entities are not supposed to have outlines where their feet touch the ground. That's just a design choice that I made. That's too humpy. That is also too humpy. Nope. We'll keep it the way it is. Maybe the red, and the original red I had might be work well, but what I was gonna do is I was just gonna open up the HSV slider. I'm just gonna hue shift it around to see if there's a particular combination of colors that I think works well. Let's do this, actually. Yeah, I think maybe like a reddish purple. Like I said, I don't want to make it too purple, but I don't think the orange and whatnot is working, so... I mean, I could do blue, perhaps. Well... Yeah, I think probably red is just going to look the best. Maybe like a pinkish red kind of color. So, let's try it out. Let's do pink for that. Oops. Let's do some kind of... do a red there. Well, do I want to do that? What's a complementary color of red, is it? Green? It's green, right? What is this down here? I am viewing complementary. Oh, is red? Interesting. I could have sworn red and green were complementary colors. Guess not. Blue might work. Let's see. Nope. Yeah, I guess red is gonna have to do it. That color, that... Ooh, yeah. Okay. I think that's what I was looking for. Yeah. Now I need a slightly lighter color, so this can definitely be this color as well, I think. This needs to be a slightly lighter color. There we go. Okay, this is looking much nicer. Now for the highlight, we could do something like yellow, be a little bit bold there. That looks good on the claw here. I'm not so sure it looks good on the legs. Maybe it's just because my highlights on the legs are not good. Always a possibility. That looks fine. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit of a bold color choice, but I think it's fine. Could also, well, I can't do that actually. Yeah. I'm okay with that. See what it looks like with the shell. Then the eyes, we'll have to make the eyes match as well. Yeah, that doesn't look bad. I mean, I'm not satisfied with the eyes actually just yet, but what do you think? I mean, the colors are working better, I think. How did you do the outline magic? Oh, I think that's just, what is it? I think it's Shift O in Sprite. Shift O. Yeah, Shift O. It will give you outline options, and then I just go in. Sometimes I can't do this. Sometimes the outline needs to be very specific, but that's good for quickly getting an outline, and then you can touch it up as necessary. This is a Sprite. Oh yeah, somebody already answered you. Thank you, Felipe. Welcome back to the stream, Kiki Dev, by the way. Good to have you here again. It is a beautiful winter day today. It looks super nice. The shadows and the new color bring so much life to it. Yeah, I think it's looking good. I think it's looking good. I'm not convinced of the eye color though. That's the only thing. If I made them white, that looks better. Or I could alternatively not use yellow here, so I have more contrast when I use this color. I think white probably looks okay. I don't really have anything that's like pure white though. Can make them void eyes. Invert it. Ooh, that's actually kind of cool. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay, hold on a second. It went from cute to monstrous, which is, I think, appropriate. Void eyes. I don't know. Do I like this? That's the question. I think I'm just not convinced of the shape of the eye here. I think that's the big thing that I'm running into. That doesn't look good either, though. No. I'm being told to go lay down and rest, and I always do what I'm told. Have a good one. All right, thanks, Retro Rin. I very much appreciate you being here, and I hope you have a good rest. So, hope to see you in the next one. It is looking through your soul, yeah. I do like the void eyes there, but I don't like the shape. Okay, well, it might just be a quit while you're ahead scenario here. I think what I will do is I'll put it back. Put it back the way it was for now. I just don't know. I don't know. Something to think about, I suppose. Anyway, let's do the shell now. And the shell, basically what I want to do with the shell is just add some more detail to it. I should probably look at like what a stalagmite looks like, so I can more accurately kind of emulate the colors here, but I think I don't know, I just want to play around with it a little bit and see what I can do here. Okay, not looking bad. And then I'm just gonna add some random it can't look too uniform. Like a stalagmite, from what I was looking at, it looks, well, it looks like a rock, you know? And I think I can convey that without making this too muddy. Without making the art too muddy. And I think I may even be able to convey that better by just like, well, that's not going to work. But if I take something like that, just add random chunks in it, you know what I mean? No, that kind of looks weird. I thought I'd be able to get away with that, but maybe not. I can't put it too far. I'm not liking how that's looking. I like the more uniform look here. Even though I just said it can't look too uniform, but that's alright. I mean, I think this is probably... It doesn't need to be like super... perfect. I don't know, what do you think? I mean, does that look like a rock? I think it looks like a rock. It seems alright. I think I'm missing maybe like a couple of highlights there. Like this area is just a little bit bland, so let's see. I think that's probably fine. I'm also tempted to add more details in here, but I'm not certain that's going to be a super good idea. I'm not certain that's going to be a great idea. Like I said, this might be a quit while I'm ahead scenario here. Yeah, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. I think this looks fine, but anyone have any suggestions or thoughts on the stalagmite? Maybe red eyes and a dark background. Red eyes could work, maybe. Do multiple pieces of rock in the shell, like some rusty rocks IDK. Well, that's a good idea, yeah. It's a good idea. I don't think... Yeah, I'm not going to do it for this character, but... I think that'll look fine. I think that'll look fine. So, alright, so we're going to engage the strategy of quit while you're ahead. And I'm just going to go ahead and... I'm just going to actually draw a line there to better differentiate the eyes. That looks immediately better, okay. I like how that looks, okay. Anyway, so quit while I'm ahead. And I think this is looking fine. We'll animate it, we'll get it in game, we'll see how it's looking. The shell might end up sitting farther down in the body like so while he's walking around. But again, the shell is going to be rotated on its back when it's walking around. So I'm going to go ahead and create all these. We don't need this layer anymore, so I'm going to delete this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and export all of those individual sprites. Export layers. So we've got eyes, shell, and body. And then before I get into the engine to implement those things, I'm just going to commit this. So stalagmite crab art. So we'll commit that. And now we can go into the engine and we can start working on this guy. I'm intrigued how you're going to do the invulnerability animation. Oh yeah, well, we'll see if we find out. I'm almost 2 hours into the stream, but I'm going to see how much I can get, at least of the animation done. And then we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to try to take this creature over the, over the finish line in this stream, but we'll see how it goes. If it's going to take another hour, probably not. But if it only takes like 30 minutes, then I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. What a lazy day, huh? Saturday before Christmas. I'm not even doing that much this year for Christmas festivities, and I don't have a job, so it's not like I had a bunch of days off or anything, but for some reason I still feel like the kind of like the relaxation of the season, just kind of chilling, get your warm cup of coffee on the cold winter morning. Anyway, it's looking good. Thank you, Super Rad Maker. Appreciate that. Yeah, for me, it's like I have to buy gifts for family. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another quick break. And then when I come back, we will get the visuals that I just drew into the engine, and then we'll start animating it. And then if all goes well, we should actually be able to finish this guy. I still need to add an attack to him. I haven't decided how that's going to work yet, but you know, we'll see. Maybe we'll do something interesting with the attack pattern. I don't know. But hello, CK. Welcome to the stream. What do you do professionally? I'm assuming that's what the question means. I used to be a software engineer. Right now, I don't have a formal job. I guess you could say I'm a full-time indie game developer and course instructor. So basically, I'm self-employed right now, trying to make Gunforged a commercial success so that I can continue to make games in a self-employed fashion. But I was a software engineer, if you want to know what I did formally. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to take a quick break. Again, please check out the links in the description below for all the ways that you can support me. And give me just a couple minutes, and when I come back, we will animate this guy and see how it looks. All right, let's get into the animation here. So I've got my shell sprite, my body sprite. I'm also going to need my eye, or why am I doing that? Sprite 2D. We're going to need a sprite 2D for the eyes. Eyes, sprite. Okay, let's go to assets, entity. Oh, entity. Stalagmite crab, here we go. So we got the body sprite, boom. The eyes sprite, boom. And the shell sprite, boom. All right, now we got to get all these properly situated. So the body sprite here, let's get the offset in a good position. That looks fine. And then I'll take the put that up there. Perfect. Eyes. Now I got to figure out where these eyes ought to go. They do need to be in front of everything else. The shell needs to be in front of the body. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So the eyes. Put the pivot offset right around there. And then where does this need to go? Okay. So this needs to go like that. I think that's correct. Yes. Okay. So the eyes go there. And then the shell. The shell is, of course, like I said, it's gonna be rotated, but let's get it in a good position. What is up with this? Oh, that's position. I was like, why is that not working? Okay, offset, and then I'm gonna do pivot offset more so up there. And now I can take this and we'll just put it there. I mean, that's just gonna be the default position of the crab, maybe down a little bit more. No, right there's fine. Okay. The crab is never gonna be in this position in the game, so it doesn't matter if it looks a little bit weird here. Okay, all right. Animation time. Animation player. Let's create a run animation. Set it to autoplay. Let's do 0.05 second snap, 0.5 second duration. And we are going to go ahead and start with, let's start with the body, I suppose. Yeah, let's start with the body here. Am I too late? Not quite, Neozoid. I mean, we're at the tail end of the stream, but I am going to be working on getting the animations done at least here. So you still got some time to hang out. So welcome to the stream, Neozoid. Good to have you here. All right. So what am I doing? I want to take the body position here and keyframe that. So I think I'll do like a very basic kind of rocking animation maybe. Let's also do the rotation here. So if I do, let's do rotation, record. We want this to loop. Let's see. That'll work. I probably want to also make the body position change a little bit as well. So body position. Why can I not move the body sprite? There we go. There we go. That looks pretty good. Let's try reversing those rotations around. Looks like it's galloping. Is that how crabs run? Do they gallop? I think that's fine though. Honestly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be perfect. The player's not going to be staring at this animation. They're going to be shooting these things and blowing them up. So, okay, so that's fine. I think the eyes, let me think. I don't think I want to animate the eyes independently. So what I'm probably going to do is add a remote transform 2D here where I'm going to put, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to put that up here. Same position as the eyes, and then I'm going to tell it to transform the eyes position. It's also going to update everything. So now I've got the eyes moving with the body. So that's good. So I don't have to animate those eyes. So the body's good. If I really wanted to put a lot of effort in this animation, I could animate the claws and whatnot, but I'm not going to do that because I'm going to have the shell being animated and everything, so it'll be fine. So let's keyframe this rotation, and let's also keyframe this position. And let's just move this now into a sensible position for this animation. So let's see. Okay, so now it needs to go up with the body, like so. Then it probably needs to be rotated a little bit. I actually probably want to, yeah, I probably want it to go up. Okay, so it needs to go up, and then when it comes down, it needs to come down kind of... I don't know if I want to move it necessarily, but let's do that. Rotate it back like this. And then it needs to kind of... I think it needs to do another forward rotation a little bit. No, that's not looking good. Hold on. We'll get it, we'll get it. So I'm going to turn off the snap here. Just going to play with the curves a little bit. I think one of the issues is that it's not going high enough. Yeah, it's coming back too quickly. There we go. So that's closer to what I want. I'm running out of timeline space. I wonder if I should just make this rotation a little bit more extreme. This needs to hover in the air for a little bit longer. There we go. I'm not entirely satisfied with that rotation. Honestly, I wonder if I should just... No, that's too much. Yeah, maybe the body rotation needs to be bigger as well. That's ridiculous. No, that's too strong. Okay. Also, I didn't make this cubic, so that could be a big thing. I mean, that's ridiculous, but I think that's fine. So it's clipping through the eyes a little bit here, so I just want to make sure that I'm getting that correct here. I might have to move this up a little bit so that it doesn't quite clip. It's going to clip a little bit, but it's not going to be noticeable in game. Okay, so I think that's, I mean, that's, let's see. Let me step through it. Well, let me step through it slowly. I do want this position to maintain a little bit. No, that doesn't look good either. All right, another quit while I'm ahead scenario. I think that looks decent. It's fine. So let's go ahead and add it into the game real quick, and let's just see what that looks like. Because the editor can often be not totally representative of what the animation is going to look like in game. Like this animation may end up looking too subtle when it's in the game, but we're going to see. Okay, yeah, definitely not too subtle. Okay. Okay. I might even reduce the amount that it's going in the air here. Just maybe bring it down by a couple of pixels. No. Something is still weird about this. Well, just leave it for now. Obviously, it doesn't change the direction that he's facing, but... Okay, he's a cute little guy. So now let's do the invulnerable animation. That's awesome. Yeah, you like it? Welcome to the stream, Trading and Fitness. Yeah, I think he's cute. I think he's looking good. I just need to do the... I'm actually going to go ahead and commit this right now. So add run animation for Stalagmite crab. For me, it's separating too much from the tail, but I know you want to give cuteness to it. Yeah, I might. I don't think that's the final version of the animation. I think I agree. It's just a little bit... It's just a little bit... There's something a little bit off about it, and I need to figure out what that is, but I'm more interested right now in getting into the invulnerability animation, because that's going to be really fun. So I'm going to do this. So enter invulnerability. Let's make this another 0.5 second one. Okay, let's go to the reset animation, enter invulnerability. Actually, you know what? I should probably... Well, let's just try this. So enter invulnerability. So this is going to... I think what I'm going to do is have him bloop up and then down. So like he's gonna squish up and then in. Easier said than done, but we're gonna see what happens here. So, I think I can just scale this. So let's do this. Add the scale. Boom. Cubic. We don't want this to loop. So So I'm going to squish out first. Like so. Then squish in. Why is it flipping? That's not right. Probably because I've got cubic here. You should not be flipping, sir. Okay, so bounce in, out, and then I probably actually want it to go... That's not working at all. That's not working at all. Why is this? Why did this lose all of its oomph? What is going on here? It lost all of its oomph. Okay, do I need to like super exaggerate this? I might. Okay. I'll keep that for now. So the bounce is just to launch the shell into the air. So let's see. I'll move the shell down. I'm recording. Yeah, so do this. It's gonna launch into the air real quick. And then come slam down. Oops. So something like that. It needs to go higher. And it probably also needs to have its own... Probably needs to have its own scale applied to it too, but... I mean, it doesn't look terrible. Maybe make it even go higher. Okay, I mean, let's see how that looks. Oh, I forgot to put cubic on that. Okay, I might want to add a little bit of a bounce as well. I don't have enough animation space though. I don't really want to extend the animation length, but that's also a little bit too fast. Okay, that'll probably be all right. A little bit of clipping happening, but it's going to happen so fast in the game that it's not really going to be noticeable. So let's see. Let's get that enter invulnerability working. Leave state invulnerable. Let's grab a reference to the animation player. Animation player.play anim run. Actually, let's do this. Private void enter state normal. Animation player.play anim reset. Animation player.queue anim run. Reset. And then run. Enter state invulnerable. Animation player.play anim reset. Animation player.queue anim run. And then here, enter state normal. And then, hold on a second. I want to see how this is working. Cannon Goblin, facing component, use player's reference. Okay, so let's do this. Facing component, use player's reference, node to scale visuals. All right, let's see how this looks. Hello, Biomes. I love your game art and been watching a couple of your videos. How often do you work on your game, and do you not get burnt out working as a solo game dev? Yeah, so I think, so the amount of work that I spend day to day on my game, it varies. I would say generally on average, I'm probably doing like 4 hours of work on my game a day. Some days I do 6 or 8 hours. Some days I may do the morning stream and then basically do nothing the rest of the day. But generally about 4 hours. And the thing is, that's kind of when I find that I start to get antsy, you know, like after 4 hours of working, it's just like, okay, I get to the point where it's like, I don't want to be working on this anymore. And rather than force myself through that necessarily, I just say, you know, I'll leave it, I'll rest, and I'll come back to it. So I think that's probably why I avoid the burnout, is I don't force myself to go more than I naturally want to go. Obviously, like I wake up some days and I'm like, I don't really want to work. But so there's a fine balance between avoiding burnout and still staying disciplined. Like, I don't think that you're fundamentally going to get burnt out by doing at least like 2 hours of work on your game a day. I think that's perfectly doable. And I do at least that much every day. And if I did just 2 hours of work a day, I'd never get burnt out. You know, burnout, I think, really happens when you're just grinding away at it like nonstop. But I just kind of like, I'll do I usually do about 4 hours of work a day. And then there are natural cycles in the development of the game where there are just naturally days that I want to keep working on the game, and it comes really easy because I'm doing something fun. And then there are other days where it's like 4 hours is like the limit of what I can take because I'm doing something so mind-numbingly tedious or even difficult, and I'm just like, I don't want to touch this anymore. So that's kind of how I approach it. You know, I think it's hopefully that answers your question. But thanks for joining the stream. Happy to have you here. Learning more about design patterns and such, seeing this and going through the course makes me love composition over inheritance. Yeah, doesn't it? I love it. I think it's great. It's got some problems, like I've said before, but I generally think the problems are not terrible. Okay, this is not working for some reason. Why is this not working? Oh, because I'm not playing the enter invulnerability, that's why. Okay, let's try it again. I love that cannon goblin. I pulled him up as an example to use to reference, but he's fun. Okay, stalagmite crab. And then he just pops right back up. I'm probably going to want a pop-up animation. Just like a very quick one. And probably since... Since that animation takes a while, I think what I'll do is I'll also up this invulnerability duration timer to 2 seconds. Because the animation's about half a second long. So I think that's looking good, though. I think that's looking really good. He just goes into his shell and then comes out. Why is he not updating his facing, though? That's... Oh, because I never called facing component.update. That's why. I need a reference to it. Okay, facing component.update. Going to do like a little force field effect when he's in vulnerable state and getting shot. I could do that. I'm gonna see if I can get away with not doing that because it's work. But if players are saying, hey, that's not super clear, I think it will be clear though, because it's like the hit flashes will stop. Well, I guess except for the damage over time. I wonder if I should stop the damage over time effects too. Probably not. But I think players will notice that their bullets are like hitting it and not doing anything. I might even up that duration, the invulnerability, to 2.5 seconds. Because I want it to be annoyingly, like not too long where the player's like waiting forever, but annoyingly long enough where it's like the whole point of like the crab going into invulnerability is I want the player to have to change targets, right? Like, oh, that guy's invulnerable and I've got something behind me, so I need to turn around and deal with that first. But now, oh my gosh, the crab's back up again, you know? and they have a very narrow window where you can attack them. They go in and out of their shell quite rapidly. So I think that's just going to provide an interesting attack, or just like an interesting movement pattern for the player to have to deal with. And you can imagine, like, here, I'll do this. Let's just do this real quick. Let's go into the level here. Oh, I can't go in. Okay. Void level. Like, I'll do this. Spawn, stalagmite, crab, 10. So now they all, like, look like that. And it's just like a field of them. So you can imagine like 5 of these things coming after you. And you're like, what the heck, you know? They're so cute. Look at them. Oh my gosh, I love them. They look really good in this level too. Like the stalagmites. They're kind of moving each other around. Or maybe that's just them decelerating. Well, look at how cute they are. It's like a field of stalagmites that are coming after you. Oh, those are so cool. They look so good in game. I gotta give them like a pop-up animation, but... And they're not taking any damage anymore because they're all technically dead and I haven't handled their death yet. but oh, they're so goofy. I do want to fix up that animation a little bit. I thought the clipping wasn't going to be an issue here, but I think it is. So let me fix this clipping real quick. So right here, that's where the clipping is a problem. I think the scale needs to go down to 0 at that point. Yeah, let's try that. Need a piercing passive or something I can ignore that maybe? I'm brainstorming, just having fun with it. Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that. Yeah. I think there's a lot of interesting things that I could do. Like I kind of like this enemy kind of makes me wish that I had introduced more of a concept of enemy invulnerability throughout the rest of the game, because then you're exactly right. I could have designed passives and runes around that fact, but this is really the first enemy in the game that has such invulnerability, so. What's interesting too is that they don't get any of the status effects when they're invulnerable, which is nice. I have to decide whether I want the damage over time effects to continue while they're that way. Probably should continue the damage over time effects, but they're so cool, and the animations are not clipping anymore either, which is great. You can do so much with just really simple squash and stretch animations. Like, that's the animation for them entering their shell, is they just bounce, and then the shell lands on top of them, and that's it. Oh, they're so cute. Look at them. Oh my gosh. That turned out much better than I was even hoping that it would. Now we gotta figure out, well, I gotta do an animation for them and figure out what kind of attack they should have. So, this is awesome. That's why the game dev is so much fun. Yeah, exactly. They're looking so good. How does the movement pattern work? Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, the movement is, I need to give them like somewhat of an interesting movement pattern as well. So we're not out of the woods yet with these guys. Maybe give them some kind of more crab-like movement where they rotate around the player a little bit more. But the fact that they're staying separate from each other is a built-in function of the Godot pathfinding, the agent avoidance system, which works really well actually. But that's all built into Godot, so they can't walk through each other and whatnot. Now I wonder if I should disable the agent while they're in their stalag. I guess I don't need to. See, the thing about this game is like, I guess as a programmer or as like a systems thinker kind of person, I keep getting into this mindset of like, it has to be perfect, right? It's like, maybe they shouldn't occupy space on the tile or on the navigation grid when they're in their shells, and it's like, but why? Like, what's the point? So like, some enemies are going to maybe get stuck on them and push them around a little bit. Like, is that really that big of a deal? The player's going to be blowing through waves of enemies. Like, an enemy is lucky if it stays alive longer than 5 seconds. So like, there's these tiny details that I sometimes get fixated on, and it's like, why? What is the point? Is changing that tiny detail really going to make that much of a difference in the game? And the answer is no. So I might as well leave the system as it is and just not give myself the work that doesn't need to be done. It's just like, that's a constant temptation that I'm always resisting. I don't know why. I just have like this like thing where I need to make it in my mind like perfect or work correctly, and it's like, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. What does work correctly mean? Is the player having fun? Yes. Okay, well then it's working correctly. Anyway, rant over, I suppose. Be neat if the shell shakes a bit before standing up again. That is a great idea, Trading and Fitness. I'm actually going to write that down so I don't forget. To do, make shell shake before arising again. Thank you for the suggestion. I'm definitely going to do that. I think that would be great. So like the exit animation, it's like a little shell shake before he pops out. Thank you, Super Rad Maker. Very much appreciate that. What do you think about shell throwing attack? That's a good idea. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to quite work with this enemy, but I'm going to have to think about that. I still haven't made up my mind on what the attack is going to be. It would be really funny if it threw the shell at you and then had to like skitter over to pick it back up while it's naked. That would be really funny. Cool. Yeah, thank you, Neozoid. All right. So added stalagmite crab invulnerability animation. Okay, well, I am, yeah, I think I'm done with the stream for today. Got a lot of work done. Of course, I was a little bit optimistic in thinking that we get the enemy done completely, but the enemy still needs that animation of it coming out of its shell, and it also needs, well, let me write this down. So it needs interesting movement pattern, and it needs an attack. So those are the three things that I still need to do. Unfortunately, I don't think that's gonna be feasible for today. So I'm gonna put this off until tomorrow. Maybe I'll stream it, maybe not. It's getting close to Christmas, so a lot of people are busy, including myself. But yeah, that'll be it for the stream today. Super Radmaker says, I learned so much from you today. I appreciate you, broski. Thank you, Super Radmaker. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Snup Bill, again, for the super chat. And that was much appreciated. Again, for anyone watching the VOD or watching live, all of the ways in which you can support me are linked in the description below. The Gunforged demo, which is the game that I'm making right now, is available on Steam, so you can download and play that using the link in the description below. Also wishlist the game. And of course, if you want to learn more about how to build a complete game in the Godot engine, I've got 2 Udemy courses. I've got a C# course and I've got a GD Scripts course. So take your pick if you're interested in one of those. And obviously that financially helps me out a lot as I'm trying to make it as a full-time indie game developer. So thank you all again for watching. It was great having you all here. Thank you, Trading and Fitness. Thank you, Brian. And thank you everyone who has chatted and watched, especially if you're a lurker. Thank you to all the lurkers out there for watching. And yeah, have a good day, everyone. And I hope you enjoy your weekend. All right, I will see you in the next